Welcome back to Midwest Access. I'm meteorologist Sarah Gannon. We are keeping an eye on some thunderstorm chances here for your Tuesday. Still kind of a wait and see situation. We have to wait to see how storms kind of develop and if we can see those storms erode that cap. So looking to monitor our evening forecast very closely. So if you have some outdoor plans, just keep an eye on the forecast here over the next few hours. Current radar showing pretty quiet conditions. A few upper level clouds starting to roll through the area, but it's really not much happening for us locally in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. However, storms already initiating and causing a little trouble in northern Minnesota through the Arrowhead region of Minnesota. We are looking at a tornado warning just to the northwest there of the Duluth region. And again, we'll monitor that line of storms, but all of that activity should stay through the Arrowhead region, gradually moving through northern Wisconsin into the upper peninsula of Michigan. All a part of this line here is what we're expecting to see is the possibility of some development further south to impact us in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. But again, we have that cap in place, so keeping an eye on things very closely. Better chance for severe activity, though, should stay just to our north, I-94 corridor up towards the Arrowhead region of Minnesota and into northern Wisconsin. Locally in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, we do have that level 1 out of a level 5 severe risk from the Storm Prediction Center. And this is just for our Minnesota county. So North Iowa County is not included at all in that severe weather risk. So again, monitoring things very closely for your Tuesday evening. Should we see any storms develop, wind and hail will be our primary threats locally. So looking at future track here for the rest of tonight, there's a possibility, at least in the last model run, there's a possibility to see some storm development, very stray in manner after about 8, 9 o'clock in the evening. In this case, fresh update here, maybe delaying that possible start of those storms towards about 10, 11 o'clock in the evening. So staying very stray in manner. And again, we're going to watch these model runs very closely here as we move into the next couple of hours, seeing how they play out and if we end up seeing those storms come to fruition. But looking ahead to your Wednesday, beautiful day. Looking to start off the morning there, 7 a.m. with temperatures into those lower 60s, plenty of sun. And the sunshine just continues into the afternoon. Maybe a couple clouds filtering in and out, but temperatures overall seasonal into those upper 70s to low 80s. Here's that 10-day forecast where we look to track a better opportunity for some shower activity come Saturday. Looking right now to be more so towards the morning hours. So not a washout this weekend by any means, but things looking to warm up a little bit more next week as we look at Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Temps in the mid, maybe upper 80s back in the forecast. We are keeping an eye on the chance for a couple stray thunderstorms in the area this evening. Chief Meteorologist Nick Jansen will have all those latest first alert details next.
Outdoors, now our meteorologist Sarah Gannon joins us live from the weather patio. Sarah, what are you tracking for the rest of tonight?
Well, hey there, Olivia. We've been monitoring the radar here throughout the afternoon and this evening as we've been watching some thunderstorms to our north. At this point in time, expecting to see that cap continue to hold in place, which will limit and kind of deter that thunderstorm development. So most of that thunderstorm activity has been staying to our northeast, through northern Minnesota and now currently into northern Wisconsin. A lot of that activity should stay north of the I-94 corridor. So locally, we should be in the clear. We should be quiet for the rest of tonight. Looking ahead to tomorrow, we will continue to monitor more beautiful weather. Tomorrow actually looking pretty seasonal. Dew points still up there, so a little sticky still remaining for tomorrow, but looking forward to less humid conditions by the end of the week. But we are monitoring some weekend thunderstorm chances. I'll break down those first alert forecast details for you in just a few minutes. We continue to keep an eye on that potential for a few thunderstorms. I think most of that activity, though, stays to our northwest here, or northeast tonight. Heading into tomorrow, tracking some beautiful sunshine. A fabulous Wednesday is ahead with seasonal temperatures. We are, though, keeping an eye on some upcoming storm chances for the weekend. I have the first alert to what's in store in your first alert weather next.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
We continue to monitor the radar here this evening, keeping an eye on that very slim possibility of maybe a couple thunderstorms developing, but that cap holding in place very strongly here over southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. Looking at radar locally, really nothing on the radar. We're starting to see a couple blips here right along that I-94 corridor. They're still into Wisconsin, north of the Red Wing area. So we'll monitor that potential closely if there are any storms that maybe try to develop and go across and along that Mississippi Riverside. Main storm concern does continue to stay to our northeast through northern Wisconsin. And I really think the bulk of these thunderstorms and any severe potential stays north of the I-94 corridor. So we'll monitor things continually here through the rest of this evening. Storm Prediction News Center updating their severe storm outlook, clipping Goodhue, Wabasha, Winona counties here this evening with that level 1 risk, main area of concern in that level 2 risk, again, remaining north of the I-90 corridor, north of Eau Claire, through the northwestern part of Wisconsin. Looking ahead of the weekend, I think this is where we have that better potential for some rainfall locally in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. Best timing at this point in time for Saturday should work in our favor. Late Friday night, overnight into Saturday morning before that lunchtime hour. So not a washout this weekend. Looking at Sunday then, there could be 2 possible rounds, maybe before 8 a.m. and then again after 8 p.m. So daytime hours on Sunday looking pretty dry. Your Saturday then looking at kind of that afternoon evening time frame, dry and quiet. So rainfall amounts, not a lot to talk about, but at least we could be looking at maybe a couple tenths of an inch of rainfall possible, maybe around a quarter for many of us. There could be some localized higher amounts around the I-35 area towards Mason City. Maybe that could be seeing up towards about a ½ inch of rainfall on the high side. So keeping an eye on that weekend rain potential. Tomorrow, though, no rain concerns, just a beautiful day, plenty of sun, highs there in the upper 70s to low 80s. Here's a look at that 7-day forecast for Mankato, looking at a beautiful stretch of weather the next 3 days before we bring in that increased rain and thunderstorm chance this weekend. 10-day forecast for Rochester. Fabulous weather the next 2 days. I will say dew points lower Thursday and Friday, so probably the more comfortable day. A couple of days there with that lack of humidity, but monitoring the weekend closely for some outdoor any activities that may be going on, as there are those couple rain chances on the way.
All right, thank you, Sarah. We'll check back in just a little bit.
We have been looking forward to a little more sunshine in the area. Looking forward to that heading into our Wednesday. We are gearing up for a beautiful start to the day. Temperatures right around seasonal into those lower 60s, so slightly above average to kick off the day around 7 a.m. Plenty of sun heading into tomorrow afternoon. Looking forward to more sunny conditions and seasonal temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. However, I do have the first alert to some storm chances by this weekend. I'll break down those first alert forecast details next. And we are monitoring the potential for some thunderstorm activity heading into this weekend. Before that, though, beautiful weather by tomorrow. Tracking the latest on those first alert details coming up.
Heading outdoors, our meteorologist Sarah Gannon joins us live from the weather patio. Sarah, what are you tracking for our Wednesday?
Well, hey there, Olivia. Continue to keep an eye on that possibility of some thunderstorms, just kind of clipping the fringe part of our viewing area, more so towards the riverside. At this point in time, most of these thunderstorms have been staying along and north of the I-94 corridor. However, there's a chance maybe kind of clipping that Mississippi riverside. So continue to monitor things here through this evening before I kind of give the all clear to everyone. But overall, I think our severe threats are pretty slim to none at this point in time for southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. Pretty muggy out here this evening. As we continue to track dew points into those 60s and 70s, the good news is conditions will feel slightly better tomorrow. Much more relief from that humidity Thursday and into Friday. But tomorrow, plenty of sun and some seasonal temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s are on the way. Keeping an eye, though, on the weekend. I have the first alert to some storm chances on the way for that. For then, I'll talk about those details coming up. And we get to look forward to some beautiful sunshine and very comfortable temperatures on the way for your Wednesday. Highs tomorrow expected to be relatively seasonal within a few degrees. So those upper 70s, maybe some low 80s sneaking in the region. Gearing up, though, for a weekend rain chance. We'll talk more about those first alert forecast details in just a couple minutes.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
We continue to keep an eye on some possible thunderstorm development in the area. I think the bulk of this activity continues to stay out of our area. However, I will say in the last couple of scans, we've started to see a couple of thunderstorms start to pop up just east of the river from Red Wing. So we'll monitor that cluster there of some storms. I did mention we could see some possible development along the Mississippi riverside. As long as it stays east of the river, it is out of our local viewing area. Although we could use the rain, we never say no to the rain. However, keeping an eye on that possibility, maybe some stronger wind gusts coming out of that. Overall, severe threat, I think, pretty limited here at this point in time. But again, at this most of us looking pretty dry and quiet. So the bulk of the precipitation, the thunderstorm activity, staying just outside of our viewing area across the river. We've been watching that cluster of thunderstorms moving through western Wisconsin at this point in time. That was back into the northern part of Minnesota earlier this afternoon. So we've been watching it move across the upper Midwest here throughout much of today. At this point, as I mentioned, I think that overall severe threat pretty pretty limited now that we're moving past peak heating. Storm Prediction Center has kind of adjusted that severe storm outlook. But again, can't quite rule out maybe some gusty winds, some small hail possible in the area where we see some of those thunderstorms that develop. But again, I think that overall severe threat pretty limited. Better chance, though, for some moisture back in the area by this weekend. And the good news is not expecting a washout. Right now, current timing, looking to bring in those thunderstorms for Saturday late overnight, so late Friday night into Saturday morning. Most of that should be out of here by the lunch hour on Saturday. So we get the afternoon, evening, rain-free for Saturday to get outside and enjoy some outdoor activities. Heading into Sunday, then, we'll look at maybe two possible rounds, one before 8 a.m. and a second one after 8 p.m. So the midday, pretty much mid-morning through the afternoon and early evening hours, looking dry on Sunday. So that could bring us a better chance for some accumulating rainfall with totals around maybe one upwards of 3 or 4/10 of an inch. So right around 1/4 of an inch, maybe localized higher amounts up to 1/2 of an inch. 7-day forecast for Mankato as we look at a dry stretch of weather the next 3 days before that weekend. Rain chance, temperatures continuing to stay pretty steady into those upper 70s to low 80s. Here's that 10-day forecast for the Rochester area as we track out upper 70s to low 80s. Sunshine, lower humidity Thursday and Friday before we bring in higher dew points and again that upcoming rain chance there for this weekend.
Been pretty comfortable all week.
Sure has, yeah.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Nick. Here's one more look at that 10-day forecast. Pretty beautiful stretch the next 3 days. Plenty of sunshine on the way. Seasonal temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. However, by this weekend, we will be bringing back in a bit of some rain activity for the region. We'll take the rain. We certainly will. And the good news is not expecting a washout this weekend. Timing-wise, should cooperate for us to see some dry conditions through Saturday afternoon and evening, and then throughout much of the midday there on Sunday.
You know, the sunny conditions have been really nice, but our area could use some rain.
It really could.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 9.
We continue to keep an eye on those storms looking to develop. I think most of us, that cap has held pretty strongly in place. There are a few thunderstorms now bubbling up across the river. So if you're in Goodhue County, Wabasha County, you may be noticing the lightning across the river into Wisconsin as those thunderstorms kind of develop and move through. So at this point in time, as long as these thunderstorms continue to ride along that I-94 corridor, really we shouldn't be looking at any storm concerns locally here in southeast Minnesota, northeast Iowa. These thunderstorms should stay across the river into Wisconsin, but should we see anything along the riverside, some gusty winds, some small hail may be possible. But looking ahead to tomorrow, plenty of sunshine on the way. In fact, temperatures looking to stay pretty seasonal. We're looking at some upper 70s, some lower 80s maybe sneaking in there, but pretty gorgeous day. Still a little sticky when it comes to dew points, so we get a break from the humidity heading into Thursday and Friday. I am keeping an eye, though, on this weekend. I have the first alert to some upcoming possible rain chances, so we'll break down more of those details in your forecast coming up.
All right, Sarah, thank you.
And we certainly saw some nice conditions out there today. A little humid, though. We are tracking some minor improvement by tomorrow. Better improvement in that humidity by the end of the week. Tomorrow, gearing up for plenty more sunshine and seasonal temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. However, I do have the first alert to some upcoming storm chances by this weekend. I'll break down those forecast details for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Here's your first alert weather with meteorologist Sarah Gannon.
We continue to keep an eye on those thunderstorms that are developing just across the river. So if you're in Goodhue County, more so towards Wabasha County at this point in time, you may be noticing some lightning across the river into Wisconsin. The cap holding very strongly, firmly in place here in southern Minnesota and northern Iowa, so managing to miss out on some of those thunderstorms. However, I will say if you're close to the riverside, keep an eye out. There might be a couple that pop up and kind of ride along that Mississippi River line, just like what we have right now between Eau Claire and the Wabasha County line there with the Mississippi River. So at this point in time, those are the closest thunderstorms that we have to the viewing area. Most thunderstorm activity is staying to our northwest or northeast there into northern Wisconsin. So Wisconsin kind of taking the brunt of those thunderstorms at this point in time, but given the time of day, severe threats not expected. Should we see anything along the river, maybe some gusty winds, some small hail, but better chance for rainfall, I think, heading into this weekend. Look at the latest timing here. Looking at mainly late Friday night into early Saturday morning. So before the the lunch hour on Saturday, and then we salvage the rest of the day heading into Saturday afternoon, into the evening hours. Then we look ahead to Sunday, possibly 2 rounds of some shower and thunderstorm activity possible, one before 8 a.m. and then a second one after 8 p.m. So the good news is not a washout this weekend. If you do have some outdoor plans, kind of when we may be looking at some rainfall timing, have that backup plan just in case. But again, not a washout. A washout is not expected. We could be looking at a little bit of some rainfall amounts, totals. Could be climbing towards about 1/4 of an inch on the lower side. Maybe some localized higher amounts up towards about 1/2 inch of rainfall. So we'll take any rainfall that we can get. We certainly could use some here at this point in the season. Looking ahead to tomorrow, a beautiful day. Afternoon highs expected to climb into those upper 70s, some low 80s, plenty of sun along the way as well. Morning temps tomorrow looking to start off into those lower 60s. So here's a look at that 10-day forecast as we track out a beautiful stretch of weather here the next couple of days between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We are expecting to see some lower dew points for Thursday and into Friday, back towards more comfortable levels into those 50s. However, by this weekend, of course, keeping an eye on those upcoming rain chances. And next week, maybe a couple more rain chances mixing in there as well. But could be a little warm by Sunday. Temps climbing towards those mid-80s. It's been a little bit since we've seen that. Things have been pretty steady, pretty level into those upper 70s and low 80s.
But we could definitely use some rain in our area.
Yeah.
Some rain, and how is it that we're already getting ready to turn the calendar to September next week?
I know, it's almost fall, which means it's practically Christmas at this point.
Oh, let's not get quite too far ahead of ourselves, right? Can we slow it down a little bit?
I am not ready for cold weather or snow. Slow it down.
Me either.
All right, we'll be right back.
We have been enjoying some nice conditions today. A little muggy out there, but we are gearing up for some improvement in those dew points by Thursday and into Friday. Tomorrow and the next 3 days. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, looking at some beautiful weather on the way. Temperatures will stay fairly seasonal in the upper 70s, gradually climbing into those lower 80s, especially towards Mason City. We are expecting to see just quiet weather the next 3 days. Monitoring this weekend, as we do have the potential for some shower and thunderstorm chances. I don't think it's going to be a washout this weekend. Timing-wise, should cooperate for us to see some overnight, early morning, and maybe some late-night rain chances. So that should cooperate pretty well if you have some outdoor plans this weekend. Otherwise, next week, continuing on with some dry conditions there Monday into Tuesday. Nick? Let's take one more look at that 10-day forecast as we look at a beautiful next couple of days for southern Minnesota and northern Iowa. Plenty of sunshine, some slightly warmer than normal temperatures, upper 70s to low 80s, but still very summer-like here the next few days. Keeping an eye on this weekend, we are tracking some shower and thunderstorm chances for the area. At this point in time, if timing holds in place, not expecting a washout. Timing-wise, we'll see those showers and thunderstorms kind of rumble through during the overnights, early morning hours, and late nights. So we should be able to get in all of those outdoor activities that we always try to squeeze in on a busy weekend. But a little bit warmer there for temps, mid-80s on Sunday.
A little bit of rain in the morning on Saturday shouldn't put too much of a hamper on plans for the weekend.
Yeah, and like you said, we can use a little bit more rain here as we work our way towards fall. We are not getting very close to Christmas, as Sarah thought we all needed to get ready.
I was being silly.
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good night.